Struggling to find an appropriate topic that will be fitting of a gathering of eminent Nigerians in the diaspora, like yourselves. Thank you. And I've always felt that as Onyibo, my perception of Ndeba was sometimes, and then when the mentality and then they go. So I then eventually came up with the title, mmehie. Mmehie was sort of the overarching title of this presentation, but the specific subject is envisioning a new paradigm for investment in Nigeria. Abuze Sinaligo, because I live in Nigeria, and you can use this presentation for any part of Nigeria in fact. And the story see from Romans chapter 6 verse 1. For how long shall we continue in sin? And the balance of that verse is for grace to abound. For how long shall we continue in sin for grace to abound? So my presentation, which is in 6 sections, talks about the multiple sins that Nigeria commits every day to its people and why we are in the position we are. But it doesn't stop there. It also considers a new approach of what we can do amongst ourselves to get out of those difficult situations we have created for ourselves. But to preface my presentation, I will give you an overview of Nigeria's macroeconomic environment. All the animal statistics in the World Bank and IMF. But after I give you that overview, I then give you the overview of the real Nigeria, what you will see on the streets anytime you go home and visit. Then I will then talk about the overview of Aligo, before looking at the impact of diaspora flows, which is the money all of you in this room send back to Nigeria every other week or month or quarter to your friends and family. Then I will then consider what we can do if we can aggregate some of these monies we send back into bigger amounts that we can look at investment opportunities in Aligo before ending with the new investment paradigms. If you think about Nigeria from a snapshot, we are nearly 200 million people. Our population is growing at nearly 3% per annum. Life expectancy is only 53 years. Our economic size at 128 trillion naira is only just $419 billion. It's not a lot of money. I think the whole state of Texas is multiple times bigger than Nigeria. Population-wise, we are the 8th largest population in the world, the most populous in Africa. We are considered a tech giant in Africa for some reason. Largest economy in Africa, 12th largest crude oil producer, 8th largest exporter of crude. But when you look at our GDP, if we find that since 2016 when we had economic recession, our GDP growth rate has been very low, growing at an average of about 2%, below inflation, below the rate of growth of the population. That means that every year we are getting poorer. The amount of our income is not covering the amount of growth of our responsibilities in terms of children. If you look at the breakdown of our economy, 127 trillion, you can see that mining and quarrying, or rather, sort of trade and investment is the largest component of it. And it's broken into all the agriculture, mining, manufacturing, ICT, all the relevant sectors are there. We have everything we need to grow Nigeria, but we are not really doing enough to do it. Let me discuss how our budget works, because the budget is how the federal government spends the money that it earns mostly from oil. Looking at the 2019 budget that is being proposed, it has not yet been passed into law. We are looking at a $28.9 billion budget, 8.8 trillion naira. But it is funded It is the main components that recurrent expenditure, which is the money they will use to spend on salaries and wages of all the government employees at the federal level, is taking nearly 50% of the entire budget. There's what they call statutory transfers to maintain the judiciary and the other arms of the government, the legislature, before you then come to capital expenditure, which they are budgeting at $6.7 billion. I want you to remember that number. The entire capital expenditure for Nigeria this year will be $6.7 billion. But you can see that the rest of the budget is funded by debt service. Every year, because we have borrowed so much money, the amount of money we have to spend to keep paying the interest and principal on that money is a large chunk of the budget, almost 25% of that budget. And so that is how our lot is today. So when you think about the entire budget, the entire nearly $29 billion, only $21.5 billion of it is available for spending on the Nigerian citizens. And really, $4 billion of it is going, $13.2 billion of it is going to government recurrent expenditure, maintaining the government and the federal government and all the executive in there. When you look at how the budget is funded, what you see is that oil and gas revenue is the biggest chunk of that funding, estimated this year to be $12.2 billion. Before you look at what they call non-oil revenues, and this will be often monies made from, they say, recoveries from corruption and all the other things. You also have independent revenue, which is money coming from the ministries, departments, and agencies of government. Before you then see the amount of money we are borrowing every year to keep that budget afloat. And this year we intend to borrow about $6 billion again, adding to the pool of original debt we already have. So Nigeria is in a vicious cycle where every year where the government is having to borrow money to keep maintain its expenditure profile. And as that borrowing is causing a serious problem for the economy if you look at the future. Today, you see that although the government is budgeting to spend $22.9 billion based on the money to collect, what we have seen over the last 3 years, the bars in red is what the government budgeted in 2017, 2018, and 2019. But if you look at the bars in blue, it actually shows you the actual amount of revenue they received. So each year, the government is struggling to get to almost 50% of the amount of revenue they are planning to receive. This creates a very unsustainable situation. Imagine yourself hoping to make $100,000 this year, and then building your expenditure on $100,000 of income. But by the end of the year, you've only made $50,000. Meanwhile, your expenditure is around $85,000. That means that you're running into a massive deficit every year on year. That's essentially the way the profile of the Nigerian economy works. And add to the amount of debt, currently owe about $61 billion around the world, mostly in foreign debt, as you can see. Foreign debt is $20.3 billion and domestic debt is $41. But when you're owing $61 billion, the amount of interest and principal repayment is so large that it continues to diminish your capacity. So today, if you look at the debt service, what they call the debt service, relative to your revenue, again, bear in mind that the revenue is always falling short of what you are making. Nigeria is paying almost 70% as debt service against every dollar of revenue it makes. So imagine yourself, because you're always having that shortfall in income, if you're planning to make $100,000 of revenue, you end up paying $70,000 of debt service, principal repayments or interest, based on the amount of accumulated debt you have. So it puts Nigeria in a very difficult situation. And that's just looking at the statistics from the way the World Bank is. We'll look at it. Well, this is the real Nigeria. And I think Nigeria is suffering from a lot of sins. Mmehie. Mmehie number one, petroleum subsidy. In a country where we are lacking for sufficient funding to maintain basic infrastructure. We spent last year $5.2 billion on petroleum subsidies on something like nearly 12 million cars. This is based on the money NNPC has published to us. But obviously there's a lot of corruption following this thing, because petroleum subsidy cannot make sense in a country where there are not that many cars, which actually belong to the elite. It's not the masses that are driving the cars. For 200 million people, you're looking at just about, one car for every 20 people, So petroleum subsidy last year took more money than the amount of allocation we give to healthcare, to education, and to security. And this is a country that is developing. If we want to develop, the first important thing is healthcare and education, because you want to build your human capital. And with that, you can tackle the other things. And particularly, given our present situation, security has become much more important. Mmehie number 2, we refuse to deregulate the oil and gas sector. There's a bill in the House of Assembly, National Assembly, called the Petroleum Industry Bill. The first draft of this bill came out around 2008 when Obasanjo was still president. Obasanjo was about to leave, he had left at that time. Now, 10 years later, we have not been able to pass any variation of this bill. When you come into an oil industry that has many global oil players, many of whom are based in Texas, and you don't have the legal framework for them to bring money to your country, it means they will stand aside and do just the minimum. So a country like ours that will used to attract about $5 billion of foreign direct investment every quarter, today we are struggling to see even $1.5 billion in a whole year because the PIB has not happened. But importantly, while we're delaying that from happening, we know that there's a transition going on where hydrocarbons are becoming less relevant, and we're moving to electricity and renewable energy, which will even make the value of the assets we're hiding in the ground less relevant. Mmehie number 3, corruption. Corruption is going on a grand scale in Nigeria. It's gotten to the point where I feel as a country we've lost our moral compass. I mean, look at the quotes of former president. Over 70% of what is called corruption is not corruption, it's just common stealing. How can this be a statement coming from a head of state? But it just shows you the challenges of the country in terms of corruption. But mmehie number 1 and 2 are the ones following the corruption, because behind that $5.2 billion of fuel subsidy that they told us is all phantom fuel subsidy, plus the fact that they have not privatized or deregulated the oil and gas industry, means that just a complete circle of money being pocketed by a handful of people. And we cannot get away from it. For an economy to grow, you need electricity. Like my good fellow speaker has talked about, in Eyimba industrial city, you need a lot of electricity to power that. But today we have a partial deregulation of the Nigerian electricity sector. We privatized some of the arms of that unit, the distribution companies and some of the electricity generating companies. But up to today, we have not deregulated the tariff structure. So if you look at what I've shown you, at 7 cents per kilowatt hour is what the cost of electricity is if you were to get it from a gas-fired turbine, any standard power plant like the types that will power a university. But we are paying a fraction of that today if you get it from PHCN. Meanwhile, because most people are getting only maybe 10 or 20% of the electricity from the national grid, they are having to rely on either petrol generator or diesel generator to power themselves, and they are paying much more. So you have a situation where we have turned logic upside down. We're saying we don't want to deregulate electricity tariff because people will pay more. But in practice, people actually pay more because they're running a generator all the time. So we need to deregulate that. And if we can do that, we can then begin to attract investment into it, to then power the manufacturing clusters we want to see in a place like Eyimba Industrial City. So you have a horrible situation where you've got 12.5 kilowatts of gigawatts of electricity built and ready, power generation capacity that is installed, but only nearly 4 gigawatts are available nationwide. I mean, the 12.5 gigawatts are not still enough, but in between the transmission capacity and the distribution capacity and the fact that people are not paying the right tariff, very little electricity is distributed publicly, and hence the challenges I'm sure you all face when you go home. In an evening like this, would have had at least 3 or 4 power failures, to get through the night. And then you have this sort of situation. This is a bunch of tailors in the market, and each one has their own small generator powering their own machines. Mmehie number 5, education. Like I mentioned, in 2016 data, UNESCO said we had about 8.7 million kids out of primary school. The current data will suggest around 11 million children out of primary school. That is 2018 data. If you fast forward to 2028, you will have 11 million young people who have not gotten basic education. Further fueling the insecurity, further fueling the poverty mentality in the country. Mmehie number 6, healthcare. Just taking one aspect of healthcare, maternal mortality. Nigeria loses about 159 pregnant women every day due to the lack of maternal mortality support. Just the healthcare system is not able to support it. That's the equivalent of crashing a Boeing 737 jet every day. If you really put it in that context, you see the difficulty Nigeria faces. And yet, when you talk about the misguided priorities of our leadership, they still are fixated on maintaining fuel subsidy. I talked about poverty incidence. Today we are the poverty capital of the world. We have 91.5 million people living in extreme poverty. That's less than $1 a day. To the point, these are some of the pictures you see, a lot of displaced people in the country, a lot of people where the desertification of the north has taken away their capacity for farmland, and of course all the social unrest that has been created by, past government mistakes has further, exacerbated their difficult situation. Mmehie number 8. Wide-scale insecurity. With all the focus in Abuja on how to share the oil money and the injustice that is bringing, we have now gone from, basic crimes to kidnapping, ethnic cleansing in Kaduna, southern Kaduna, mass killings in Zamfara because they are fighting over gold, Boko Haram insurgency, we are familiar with that in the northeast, disputes with Fulani headsmen, rampaging around the country, displacing farmers, Niger Delta militancy, we are quite familiar with that, although that's sort of being quelled down. And of course, armed robbery across the nation. So it's just an ugly cocktail of insecurity. And then mmehie number 9, social injustice. To the point now that in trying to solve crimes, the government then creates another, what I call a massive moral hazard. There are 30,000 Niger Delta militants that are going under the amnesty program. So these are people that used to take guns and kidnap foreigners or Nigerians and blow up oil pipelines. But now they've agreed to come under an amnesty program. And we've created a moral hazard because we are paying them 100,000 naira a month, and we are sending them for scholarships to study in the US, in the UK, across Asia, and in South Africa. Where is the justice for the young man who did not become a militant, and who comes out and is earning minimum wage at 19,800 naira? That's Nigeria for you. Mmehie number 10, ease of doing business. With all these things I've just described, Nigeria is ranking 146 out of 190. In fact, it's a surprise that we're even at 146, because It's a difficult environment. Those are some of the issues that we will face today. Now, how do you get away from that? If you look at Southeast Nigeria, I talked about this earlier at the business plenary session. Our population is only 22 million, about 20% of the entire population of Nigeria, 40% of which are youth, 9.7 trillion naira economy, and GDP per capita of about $1,100 per person. 36 of the 36 states, our 5 states are making up 14% of the states. Our 95 local governments contribute 12% of all the 774 local governments. And based on the voter registration, we had only just about 10% of the 84 million registered voters in the 2019 exercise. The economy is broken up into commerce, services, agriculture, oil and gas. But if you look at the 9.7 trillion naira of the economy, a lot of people always focus on government money. The entire budget of the 5 southeastern states comes out to just 870 billion. So there's a lot that can be done outside of government. If you look at the services sector, you will see that trade and commerce, that's all the markets and all the artisans that we have, actually the biggest driver of the economy in the Southeast. So we have to find a way to leverage on that, because that is our own distinctive competence, whether we like it or not. 2.9 trillion naira. When you compare the GDP of the Southeast to other regions, at $26.9 billion, we are as big as Iceland, we are bigger than all of Zambia, we are bigger than all of Senegal. So it's quite sizable. But this is a GDP that is not organized, because often you find the 5 southeastern states are not planning together within the context of how a region should operate. And I would like for the promoters of the Anyi city to prove me wrong, and I hope that that project gets to fruition, because you need the collective effort and will of the 5 governors of those states to make sure that some of the vision and the ambition you put in there will come to pass.
Good point. Yes.
The Southeast is not alone in terms of all its own challenges. It's got political power concentration and corruption issues. There's massive nepotism. We never really look for the best to do things. We often look for people from our local government or families. Prochas Okorocha exemplified that with his wife in charge of all ministries, sister as a commissioner, trying to get his son-in-law as governor. We're also not good at seeking professional advice. So you find many projects that are not as well packaged as what Chief has shown us here, but often government leading projects that are really half-baked. So these are challenges. Look at Hotel Presidential in the 1970s. Look at Hotel Presidential today. It's an abandoned property. All the windows and doors are gone. I'm the chairman of the Enugu State Privatization Technical Committee on Privatization and Commercialization. I've tried for 10 years to get the state government to follow laid out procedure on how you privatize a company, and they have refused. Not the previous government of Sullivan Chime, and not this current one of Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi. Both have retained me as their chairman, but both sides have refused to take basic advice on how you run an investment banking process to attract money to this project. We all are familiar with Innocence and Challenge with GT Bank. But a lot of our private business people don't actually hire professionals to look at their bank accounts. Because if he had done, he would not have waited 10 years to see that 786 million naira was missing in his bank account from overcharging by GT Bank. So the challenges we face are legendary. I just showed here the last mmehie for Southeast. When you look at the rankings in terms of ease of doing business, the Southeastern states are not at the top of the pile, as you would expect. We are very good in scoring well in JAM and examinations, but as an environment for business, we are not so hospitable. And we are, as a consequence, we also see a lot of brain drain. Our young people, when they finish, they move to other parts of Nigeria or move abroad, which continues to further heighten our problem. So you then see why we're here. All the young people come to America and then set up their careers here. I'd like to talk a bit more about diaspora flows. There are 17 million Nigerians that live abroad. Last year, they sent in $25 billion into the economy. I want you to remember that the reason I went through the statistics at the beginning is to show you the size of the Nigerian economy and show you the size of the Southeast economy and then show you the implications for development in terms of the flows of diaspora monies. $25 billion is the United States is the leader in that, with $7.2 billion alone coming from the US into Nigeria, $4.8 billion from the UK, 2.9 from Cameroon, 1.2 from Italy, Ghana $1 billion, and the others make the balance. The diaspora remittances is more than the total oil receipts of the federal government last year. So Nigeria is not an oil economy. Nigeria is a human capacity exporting economy. It's our people that are supporting the underbelly of this country. If you look at the capital importation, last year the central bank recorded $16.8 billion of capital importation. But $25 billion of remittances is more than all the $16.8 billion of capital importation. You can see capital importation, including foreign direct investment, foreign portfolio investment, borrowings from the Eurobond market, is still only $16.8 billion. Diaspora remittances is 84% of this year's budget. You understand? 84% of the 2018 budget. So diaspora remittances is a major impact of the economy. And that is what really drives the economy. If you think about it, $7.2 billion from the US is more than the entire capital expenditure planned for 2019. It's a sobering fact. But of the diaspora remittances, we see 70% of it is going into consumption, so household, education, marriages, funeral, birthdays, and 30% is only going into investment. But the investment is mostly land and buildings, a little bit of savings and loans, and some in businesses, often hotels. We're not doing investments that are creating jobs. For the economy of the Southeast to grow, we need to think of how to create jobs. And if you look at the diaspora remittances per capita, that's $25 billion against 17 million people is $1,500 per head. The challenge you then face is how we say Ike stop. You want me to stop?
No, go ahead.
You want me to stop?
No. Yeah, go ahead. What time?
Diaspora remittance is worth $1,500 per head. I because all of us in this room are sending our money individually, we are not having much impact. If we can aggregate our monies together, we can actually tackle some big social issues like the economy of the Southeast that we all love so much. So here are a few ideas. If you look at Enugu-Onitsha Express Road, that road looks like this. Many sections of it. It's when it was built, it was a 15-minute drive from Enugu to Onitsha. Oka was just about 30 minutes. Today is 2 hours and 22 minutes if you follow the exact express route. Yeah? We have it on record. It cost about $200 million to fix that road. But the whole United States sent $7.2 billion. You guys sent back $7.2 billion. So you can actually look at this project if it's well packaged and if you organize yourself. Look at Imo with this beautiful lake, Oguta Lake. It will cost $20 million to build a beautiful hotel with a water park on the lake, a great tourist attraction. That's an investment that will employ people in the tourism and hospitality industry. It will cost about $20 million to create a tech hub in Enugu. that will employ lots of people because they can stand behind phone lines and take, answer phones or do programming for computers across America, across Europe, and earn hard currency and create employment. You can think about a good investment in farmland in a Ebonyi state, or building a hospital in part of the southeast. I talked about earlier during the intervention about how you can build the underpinnings of a movie industry by creating the infrastructure in terms of video editing, sound production, and shooting of movies. Because the technical quality of the movies we produce are not good enough for it to be syndicated worldwide. If we can improve on that quality, we'll make more money. And Nollywood is already a very profitable industry in Nigeria. The last but not the least, I mentioned here, Afrinvest is a promoter for a bank to be focused in the region called Primus Bank Limited. It's a regional bank that will target providing innovative banking solutions to the Southeast and South regions. And I will really talk about it later with anybody who is interested. But we want to be distinguished in the region, facilitate investment flows, support exports of goods from the Southeast, leverage on technology, and build a culture of excellence. So, when you think about envisioning new paradigms, let me share with you some political truths. 3 regions of Nigeria contribute all the oil revenue. I'm sure Chibunyan is familiar with this. The South contributes 70% of the oil revenue, followed by the Southeast contributing 25.3% of the oil revenue, and only 4% coming from the Southwest. But all the 6 regions have shared the oil revenue, to the point that our 25.3% contribution, when they finish sharing it, we are down to 12%. It is injustice. But what about the South that brought 70%? When they finish sharing it, they get only 20%. That's a massive injustice. Talk about Nigeria, talk about mmehie, all the sins that we're committing. If you look at the representation, take the House of Representatives. The entire North has 53% of representation. So if you want to change the revenue formula, I'm glad that Chibunya Wodo has explained that we are getting more support in terms of restructuring the economy, the constitution. We must do that. But we can also do some things like focus on some areas of strength that we have within the region. But it will be impossible to change that formula without getting more support from the northern regions of the country because of the way the balance of power and representation has been created. So when you think about it, what I feel from my own experience is that we, both people in government and people in private sector, need to rebuild the trust deficit. I think there's a massive deficit of trust. People feel, when they hear what the government is doing, they just can't believe this is happening in their lifetime. And so issues of value, trust, loyalty, communication have to be paramount. And I think that is how we can begin to look at building the Southeast to look like an Israel or Singapore or South Korea. Because these people don't have any oil in their countries, and they are still very successful countries. And therefore, to have these new paradigms of investment, you need to go back to the principles that our parents taught us a long time ago. The principle of transparency, principle of disclosure, principle of honesty and integrity of business, the principle of professionalism. If we can combine all of those together, we are surely going to be able to attract and convince people like you to participate in investment opportunities in Nigeria that is clear, and is complete and concise as what can happen to it, as well as bring our brothers at home. Many of whom have millions of dollars they don't pack away in foreign countries to look further to see what can be done to make the Southeast a really attractive investment destination that it should be. Thank you very much.
Big round of applause for our brother, Ike Chioke. Primus Bank, when you get a while, they go back in our label. Thank you so much. Biko, can someone turn on the lights, please? Okay. Thank you. Any more questions? Okay, Biko, this is going to be brief as much as we can. Give me the honor to introduce our keynote speaker for tonight, our brother, our Ichie, our President General, our Hanese Nigo. You need to go. See what everybody of Hanese Nigo to tell people, Chief. Don't need a word because go.